Hello and welcome to Elecspo. Right, the other day I did a video looking at where one of every Premier League club's best youngsters ended up in the year 2031 according to FM21. It was a bit of a hit if I do say so myself, so today I'm giving you part 2. I've got another crop of Premier League youngsters and I'm going to see where they end up in 10 years time. Let's go. But if you haven't already, please whack that subscribe button as we carry on the lengthy road to our next milestone, 40,000 subscribers. Anyway, on with today's video. Arsenal following Balogun. There's been a lot of hoo-ha in recent weeks about this guy. In reality, he's just signed a new deal at the Emirates. There was talks he was going to leave. A player Arsenal couldn't really afford to lose for his age. But on FM, hasn't really worked out, to be honest with you. Arsenal career just didn't get going. He made one appearance in the Premier League for the Gunners. He had a move to New England on loan. Then he went to Sunderland, a couple of years on loan there. Did alright, ended up going to Feyenoord on a free, barely played, didn't score many goals, and now he's playing in Greece for Olympiacos. He's just had his best season to date. I mean, ignore that one with Feyenoord where he got a 7.63, I mean he only played 3 games. In the most recent season, 23 appearances, 9 goals and 5 assists, an average rating of 7.54. He's a USA international, 24 caps, 5 goals, he can, well, only a striker, can kind of play just off the striker, but not very well. And he hasn't got any stat higher than a 15. I know Arsenal fans were very excited when this guy signed a new contract, but based on FM, not worth the hype at all. And as we all know, FM is gospel. Aston Villa, Carney Chukwuemeka. He's just made his Premier League debut at the age of 17. On FM, he's not a Villa player, but he is a Premier League player at least, just. Aston Villa, he did get into the first team, never really played very well, never got higher than a 6.6 average rating. Eventually left on a free for Reading, where he did start to score some goals, and in his final season he earned a move to Blackburn Rovers. £12.5 million is what it costs Blackburn to get Chukwuemeka. At 27, he's never played for his country. You think Serginho Dest is an inspired leader, suggesting Blackburn have got some canny good players. But just like Balogun, Chukwuemeka hasn't got any stats over 15 either. The best thing he's got is agility. And after 2 players in, that's a little bit of an underwhelming start, but I suppose at least he is a Premier League player. It's better than Balogun. Brighton, Tariq Lamptey. It feels like ages since we've seen Tariq Lamptey. At the start of the season he was absolutely incredible. He was a fantasy football favourite, everyone had him in his team. He was cheap, he would get assists, and Brighton were partial to the odd clean sheet. That's why everyone had Lamptey in the team. That's why everyone was loving the ex-Chelsea youngster. And on FM, he always does pretty well. He'll normally end up like Barcelona or somewhere like that. In this simulation though, he's still at Brighton in 10 years time. I mean, he's still absolutely rapid. He's crossing, hasn't got that much better. But let's have a look at his career. He's just been at Brighton the whole time. Who've been relegated twice. He's currently just finished a season in the Championship with Brighton. Did Brighton get promoted? Is he coming back to the Premier League? Let's have a little look. They've came top of the table with 105 points, meaning Lamptey is going to be a Premier League player once again. He's just had his best ever season, a 7.21, 7 assists for Brighton. But the issue is, he wants to leave. He's a wanted man. Aston Villa are keen, and he's asked to leave because he wants to move to a bigger club. Considering he's only played once for England and how highly rated Tariq Lamptey is, it's a little bit disappointing, but fair play to him for staying loyal to Brighton. I mean, hasn't really worked out for you, but whatever, we'll move on. Burnley, Joel Mbongo. Right, finding youngsters for Burnley is just quite difficult. All of their players are pretty much 30 other than Dwight McNeil. We've had to go for Joel Mbongo, he is over 21, but that's fine, we'll have to deal. He's made a few appearances in the Premier League. We've seen him coming off the bench for Burnley as of late. Well, a couple of months ago really. Didn't really do anything. And on FM, he's making his career over in Sweden, which is where he's from. And he's doing alright for himself in Sweden. He left for Hammarby in 2023, 92 grand he cost. So at least Burnley made a little bit of a profit, which is alright. And he hasn't been shy of getting himself on the score sheet, which is good for a striker because that is his main job. He's hitting double figures. His best season was 15 and 26 there. That's pretty good. Has he played for... In fact, he got 12 and 24 there as well. That's also very good. Has he played for Sweden maybe? No, never made it to the national team, but Never mind, he's hammered a big career. He's got 83 goals in 211 appearances. It's not quite as good as his Burnley record, where he averaged a goal every game he played. He's got a record of 1-1, but that's fine. Percentage-wise, scores in 100% of the games he played for Burnley. Chelsea, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi normally has contrasting features on Football Manager. Sometimes he's absolutely wonderful, other times he ends up in China. In this simulation, he started off alright with Chelsea. He was getting games, and then as time went on, they never played him. Now he's at Watford, who are consistently in the Premier League. He went there for £28.5 million. And to be fair to Hudson-Odoi, he's been really, really good at Vicarage Road. He's just had his best season to date, 6 goals and 4 assists, an average rating of 7.17. He's got 11 caps for England. I mean, I'm not sure how many he's already got in reality. He must have 2 or 3 maybe. Remember that time when Hudson-Odoi was in the England squad and looked like the next best thing? Anyway, he's on 100 grand a week. He's got another 3 years on his contract, and he's valued at £42 million. And he thinks the club should retain the services of Timothy Fortune. Christ, I bet he's expensive. Crystal Palace, Tyrick Mitchell. We've just seen him score his first goal for Crystal Palace. He netted the winner in that win over Villa the other afternoon. It was quite a good game actually. I really enjoyed it, which I would rarely say about watching Crystal Palace. Tyrick Mitchell was the hero, the local lad. In 10 years' time, he's playing for Hoffenheim. He's one of many Englishmen who ventured to Germany, but his career hasn't quite been the success story you'd think. At Crystal Palace, he was actually fairly solid. I mean, for a Championship defender, obviously Palace got relegated a couple of times. Really solid. He got a move to Norwich, £9 million. Playing alright, but didn't play. Then he went to Fulham, where he was absolutely garbage, to be honest with you. Joined Newcastle, garbage, didn't play. Cardiff in the Championship, he did okay there. Then he went to America for Los Angeles FC, where, yet again, it probably was the best spell of his career. Averaging 7s every season. And that earned him a move to Hoffenheim, where he's barely played. The contrasting fortunes of Tyrick Mitchell had started so well. This middle patch was absolutely rotten. I don't know why was he getting a transfer pretty much every other year? Christ, 3 seasons in a row he left. How much was money spent on him? Not even £20 million. I mean, I'm saying that's like not a lot of money. But anyway, Tyrick Mitchell in Germany, no longer the local lad flying down the left for Crystal Palace. Everton, Anthony Gordon. He's currently on loan at Preston, but he's been on the brink of the Everton first team. But on FM, like so many of these youngsters, it just didn't happen for him. He made a smattering of appearances for the Toffees, but in 2025 his contract expired and he went to the MLS, and that's where he has been for, I want to say 7 years here. 7 years playing for Nashville. What a random team as well. Have Nashville got anyone of interest other than Anthony Gordon? Lewis Wing? That's about it, Lewis Wing. And he's really not that exciting. He's the Middlesbrough lad. Not that exciting. He had a loan spell at Chilton though. And he played for Seaham, that's not too far from me. I suppose he's quite local really. Anyway, he's playing for Nashville alongside Anthony Gordon. To be honest, wildly disappointing. Fulham's Steven Sessegnon. The Sessegnon brothers were the talk of the town a few years ago, particularly Ryan Sessegnon. Well, we're going to focus on his younger brother Steven. He's still at Fulham. He hasn't headed the bright lights of Spurs and then been sent off to Germany by Jose Mourinho. Steven Sessegnon, his Fulham career ended in 2024, just like who we just talked about. Just like Anthony Gordon, he's gone to the MLS. He's playing for Montreal Impact. He went there in 2024. He cost 325 grand. And he's been distinctly average at right back. I wonder what's happened to his brother actually. I mean, he's not a player we were going to look at here, but I'm going to search for him anyway. Ryan Sessegnon. I mean, he was so good a few years ago for Fulham. I'm sure there was even talk that he was potentially going to go to the World Cup. Obviously he didn't. He's playing for Brighton. He's having a fair bit of cash spent on him. Just didn't happen at Tottenham. Hopefully he comes back to Spurs next season. He does alright, because I like Ryan Sessegnon. He seems like a nice lad. As for his brother, he's at Montreal Impact, which is nice. Canada, innit? That's all I've got to say. Never been to Canada. Meant to be going this year. Pandemic hit. Nightmare. Leeds, Illan Meslier. For a young lad, Illan Meslier is incredibly accomplished in between the sticks. I mean, he's not shy at all. Sure, he's had the odd rick where he's tried to pass it out from the back, but I mean, that's how Bielsa wants to play. And on FM in 10 years time, when he's coming into his goalkeeping peak, he's the number 1 at Lyon. He spent a fair few years at Leeds where he was wonderful, got a 29.5 million move back to Ligue 1, playing for Lyon. He's been the number 1 ever since he arrived, and those ratings are absolutely exceptional, and that's why he has played 72 times for France. Think how good the French are. That's a testament, Meslier, that he is the number 1. I'm going to assume he is the number 1 if he's played that many times. Have a quick look. Yep, number 1 for France. One of the best teams in the world. Well, 4th ranked, but that's fine. Well done, Illan Meslier. Leeds are a very lucky club to have him. He's going to be the number 1 for a long, long time. Think how good he already is at the age of... Is he 21 or something now? If FM's anything to go by, Leeds have got a special talent on their hands. But I think Marcelo Bielsa probably already knew that. I don't think I'm teaching him anything new. He's not watching this. He's probably watching Bargain Hunt or something like that. Leicester City, Luke Thomas. He's the man that's been playing left wing back in the recent weeks because of injuries. And Luke Thomas won the FA Cup with Leicester. In 10 years time, he's played for England 9 times, and he's at Liverpool. He's wanted by Paris Saint-Germain. He got a £44 million move to Liverpool. I mean, you'll already know this if you watch the Liverpool in 10 years time video, which not many did, but that's fine. On this simulation, Luke Thomas, fairly steady. Well, actually, not pretty good actually for Leicester. One to watch in the coming years. Leicester have got a thing about producing left backs. First Ben Chilwell, now Luke Thomas. Maybe there's something in the waters in Leicester that makes them produce good left backs. I don't know, I'm rambling. Liverpool, Curtis Jones. Right, Curtis Jones, tipped to be the next Steven Gerrard. Hasn't really happened that way on Football Manager for Al Curtis. He's a Tottenham man. He joined them in 2029 for £23 million. He's been decent actually at the new White Hart Lane. But for Liverpool, he was alright, but he's never really managed that many games. He had loan spells at Newcastle, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Leicester. The most he played in a season for Liverpool was 24. 13 of those appearances were substitutes. Curtis Jones, he's only played 4 times for England. I mean, if you consider how good Curtis Jones is already, he looks so composed every time he plays for Liverpool. If he's only played for England 4 times in 10 years' time, something's severely gone wrong. Here he's playing as a left winger mainly. I mean, to me, he looks like an attacking midfielder, but whatever, who's the Tottenham manager? Do they know better than me? I highly doubt it. I mean, who's it going to be? Antonio Conte. I mean, he's going to be quite old in 10 years' time. Idiot. Why is he playing Curtis Jones on the left? Anyway, it's not going too well for him. £23 million. He's doing alright for £23 million, but to be honest, I would have thought he'd been the main man at Liverpool right now. And unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. Manchester City, Phil Foden. At 31 years old, Phil Foden is no longer a Manchester City player. He's playing in Germany for Borussia Dortmund. He's played 100 times for England already. And he joined Dortmund on a free in the summer of 2024. Man City have had their pants pulled right down their ankles. In reality, I mean, Phil Foden, at the age of 20 or whatever he is already a key player at Man City. He's probably going to start the Champions League final next weekend, I think it is. I mean, how much money would he go for? 150, 200 million? On FM, his contract expired in 2024 and he packed his bags and went off to Germany. And he's just had the best season of his career. 27 appearances, 12 goals, 9 assists, 10 Man of the Match awards and an average rating of 8.14. And I've just realised I hadn't scrolled up, so that was last season. He's done well this season as well. He got 10 goals, 10 assists, but his average rating wasn't quite as good. Phil Foden, man, what a player. I mean, just look at all of that. 20 for agility, 16 dribbling, 18 first touch, 18 for passing. He's just an absolute wizard. Not in the Harry Potter sense of the word. Manchester United, Mason Greenwood. Not only is Phil Foden at Borussia Dortmund, he's also joined by Mason Greenwood. The shining light of the Man City and Man United academies right now have joined forces in the Bundesliga. Mason Greenwood cost £68 million in 2027 for Dortmund, a big signing, and he's hit double figures every year. At Man United, he had a few seasons where he was hitting double figures. He was playing well, but actually as the simulation went on, surprisingly, he started playing less. At Borussia Dortmund, hasn't had a problem. He hit 14 in his first season, 19 in his second, 22 in the third, and in the fourth season he's just got 18 goals in all competitions. In total he's got 54 in 105 league appearances, averaging just over a goal every other game. He feels Phil Foden is a vital part of the team, and Phil Foden thinks the same about Mason Greenwood. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. Actually, I've just realised, was it not Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden who were dodging about with those lasses in Iceland last year when they weren't supposed to? I mean, obviously they've got a good rapport, works with the girls, and it's working for Borussia Dortmund. More importantly, forget women. Newcastle United, Matty Longstaff. Matty Longstaff's playing for Torino in 10 years' time, and to be honest, he's not a bad player. I mean, to be honest, at Newcastle he doesn't get enough chances, which basically looks like what happened in this simulation. Even when they got relegated, he barely played. Just hasn't really worked out for me. Had a loan spell in Germany, then an £8.5 million move to Torino. And he's been a Serie A player ever since. How can he start in Serie A pretty much every week? I mean, played a lot of substitute games. How can he be a Serie A starter, but he can barely get a game for Newcastle? He's just had a wonderful season, 10 assists for the ginger-haired lad in the middle of the park for Torino. Well done, Matty Longstaff. He seems like a nice lad, doesn't he? Sheffield United, Daniel Jebison. He scored the winner on his first Premier League start the other day against Everton. It was a proper poacher's goal. But in 10 years' time, Daniel Jebison is playing for Accrington Stanley. Who are they? In his career at Sheffield United, he made 2 Premier League appearances, didn't score like he has in reality. Went to Cardiff, barely played. Went to Wimbledon, barely scored. Now he's playing in League 2 for Accrington Stanley, and it looks like he's finally found his home. 17 goals, 9 assists and 43 appearances. He's had a great time at Accrington Stanley. So well done you, Daniel Jebison. He seems like a nice lad. And for someone who's 17, he's already absolutely huge. Southampton, Nathan Tella. Speaking of people who've just scored their first Premier League goal, I think, that brings us to Nathan Tella. Unfortunately, in 10 years' time, he's no longer with the Saints. He's a championship player where he's been for most of his career. At Southampton, he scored the odd goal, but not many. He went to West Brom in 2023 for £1 million. He was doing alright actually at West Brom, some decent average ratings. He's had a couple of loan spells, and in 2029 he joined Middlesbrough for £6.5 million. He just hasn't really got going though at the Riverside. He's on the transfer list with an asking price of £1.6 million, which says a lot. And he's worried new signing Tyrese Campbell will take his position in the team. To be honest with you, Nathan, it doesn't look like you've got a position in the team to begin with. Find yourself a new club, son. Tottenham, Ollie Skip. He's been winning the title in the Championship with Norwich this season on loan. And on FM, he's a Southampton player, and an expensive one at that. Again, like so many of these players, he didn't get a chance at Tottenham, yet somehow Everton spent £31 million on him. I've got no idea why. I mean, it must have been based on that loan spell he had, because he was good there. How Tottenham got £31 million is ridiculous. But he only spent a year and a half by the looks of things at Everton, permanently. When he was signed again for £31 million, Everton got the money back, and now Ollie Skip is playing for Southampton. He's steady in the middle of the park, he's just had his best season, he's never made it in the England shirt, but that is fine. 79 grand a week, contract until 2034, he feels Marcus Paulo's a great team leader, and Ollie Skip is a consistent, steady Premier League midfielder. To be honest, he should probably get a game at Spurs next season. If he's not going to get a game there, send him back to Norwich, get him some Premier League minutes under that belt, because Ollie Skip could go places in the game. Based on this, he's going to go to Everton and Southampton, but still, he had £62 million spent on him, that's a fair wedge of cash. West Brom, Callum Morton. I think he's currently on loan at Lincoln. In reality, he's done alright in the simulation. In his first season, he got 14 goals for the Imps. At West Brom, didn't really get much of an opportunity, but he was signed by Sunderland in 2024 for a bargain fee of £1.8 million, and he's been a bit of a goal machine for the Black Cats. Every season he's hit double figures. He even hit 24 in League 1 last season. Every year Callum Morton is doing the business for Sunderland. He'll be a fan favourite at the Stadium of Light. He'll be the new Kevin Phillips, the new Niall Quinn, maybe he's the new Jermaine Defoe. Just with ginger hair. Callum Morton, I mean, his stats aren't massively good, but I mean, he is a championship striker. He's fast enough, concentrates, and that's all you can ask for from a footballer. Does he concentrate? Does he pay attention? Well, he's got a year left on his contract. I'm sure Son will be extending that because, based on this, he's probably their only source of goals. But at least he's doing a job in the Championship, which is good for West Brom because that's where they spend most of their days. Keep a hold of him, Baggies, keep a hold of him. West Ham, Gonzalo Cardoso. He's the Portuguese centre-back on the books at West Ham. We haven't seen anything of him yet in a claret shirt. But he's still playing in a claret shirt in 10 years' time. It's just Burnley, not West Ham. He did play a fair bit of football for West Ham. He was solid, did okay, started poorly, but he got better over time. Earned a move to Derby, £13.75 million. Wasn't wildly impressive, and now he's at Burnley for £12.5 million. I mean, I'm going to assume Sean Dyche isn't the Burnley manager because Cardoso doesn't really sound a lot like a Burnley kind of player. But he's valued at £30 million. He's never played for Portugal, but that's fair enough. Portugal are a very good team. Cardoso is a steady Premier League defender. West Ham could do a lot worse. One to watch in the coming years at the London Stadium. And finally, Wolves' Keyja Hojbjerg. He was signed in the summer. It was surprising to see him leave Liverpool. I thought he was going to be a future starter for the Reds. But he went to Wolves, had limited opportunities, and on FM, the opportunities he did get at Wolves weren't really a success. He went to Dynamo Kiev in 2026 for £18 million. After 2 years in Ukraine, he was back in England, and now he's playing for Aston Villa, where at least he's doing alright. I kind of need something funny to end this on, but there's nothing really. He's had a lot of money spent on him, £50.09 million. I don't know why I focused on the 09 there. 50 million quid for an average right back. I was going to say he's never played for Holland. He has. He's played 5 times for his country. Liverpool, you've got this one wrong. Get him back to Anfield. Start. I mean, are they missing Keyja Hojbjerg? He would have got a game this season at least. But while last time we ended on the cheery note of Fabio Silva being a football manager superstar, we've just got Keyja Hojbjerg being quite average. What a solemn ending to this part 2 of some of the best youngsters in the Premier League and where they ended up in 10 years' time. But we've got to end it somewhere, and that somewhere is here. What a disappointing ending. We will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo. And until next time, we will see you around.